War is, a laboratory for invention, ugly, compulsive, and impossibly creative. World War II produced factories of death, yes, but it also produced odd improvisational artillery that left opposing commanders scratching their heads. These weren't just bigger guns, or clever calibers. They were strange uses of physics, surprise delivery systems, and psychological weapons that forced Allied planners to rethink how to hold ground, protect convoys, or retake cities. Below are 6 unconventional artillery systems and methods from World War II that, honestly, baffled Allied forces, told as stories, not schematics. The German Nebelwerfer looks and sounds like a device designed by nightmare engineers, a multi-barrel rocket launcher that launched volleys with an eerie, screaming whistle. It didn't fire single pinpoint rounds, it vomited a chaotic rain of high explosive or incendiary rockets that saturated areas and broke morale as much as materiel. Allied troops often reported being unnerved before they were hit. The noise and fragmentation patterns complicated counter-battery responses. The weapon's psychological edge, combined with its ability to lay down a sudden amorphous barrage, forced Allied artillery units to adapt dispersion tactics and radar spotting in ways they hadn't before. If you imagine artillery as static hulks, you haven't seen a railway gun. Massive naval-caliber barrels mounted on railcars could lob shells with extreme range and devastating effect, while being able to relocate quickly along a rail network. When used, they looked like ships ashore, enormous flashes, and far-reaching impacts in unexpected sectors. Their mobility on rails created tactical puzzles. Coastal batteries and supply lines were at risk from fire that seemed to appear from nowhere. Countering them required intelligence on rail movement and daring interdiction missions, not just conventional counter-battery fire. The British bouncing bomb mentality applied to artillery. The famous bouncing bomb is usually associated with precision raids, but the thinking behind it, using trajectory and environmental interaction to bypass defenses, inspired a range of unconventional attempts to make shells behave unpredictably. Some experimental artillery used delayed fuses, ricochet angles, or shallow impact designs to penetrate barriers or detonate in congested harbors. For Allied forces expecting standard ballistics and predictable impact zones, these creative fuses and trajectories complicated shoreline defenses and mine-clearing operations, forcing new calibrations and, honestly, much more cautious maneuvers. Rocket barrages launched from trucks and rails. Beyond the Nebelwerfer, both Axis and Allied forces experimented with truck or rail-mounted rocket arrays that could produce massive area saturation without the infrastructure of a fixed battery. These makeshift columns, often hiding in woods or behind ridgelines, could deliver a terrifying barrage and melt away before standard artillery could find them. The mobility and rapid salvo capability baffled defenders used to counter battery doctrine. Tracking these mobile rocket platforms forced Allied reconnaissance and air forces to prioritize quick identification and preemptive strikes. Coastal artillery masquerading as civilian infrastructure. In occupied regions, coastal guns were sometimes hidden or disguised as civilian structures, warehouses, houses, or even factory chimneys, to evade aerial reconnaissance and bombardment. When these camouflaged batteries opened fire, they did so from unexpected angles and locations, disrupting naval operations and coastal supply runs. Allied counters required painstaking photographic analysis, human intelligence, and risky commando raids to neutralize such hidden emplacements. The trick wasn't technological so much as deceptive. Make your artillery look like ordinary life and hit from where nobody's looking. Chemical smoke and incendiary mixes for area denial. Well, artillery can be about more than just killing. It can actually be about shaping the battlefield itself. Some World War II artillery tactics really emphasize creating thick smoke screens, whether toxic or non-toxic, and incendiary clusters to deny areas, blind observers, and channel enemy movements. When combined with high explosive barrages, these screens made counterfire and targeting nearly impossible. And they also interfered with air support. Allied forces had to develop multi-sensor observation and adjust doctrines for combined arms assaults, where sight and clean lines of fire could no longer be assumed. What made these artillery methods so baffling wasn't merely their technical novelty, it was how they exploited expectation. Conventional countermeasures rely on patterns, muzzle flashes, fire arcs, supply lines. Unconventional artillery broke those patterns, using mobility, disguise, noise, and area effects to turn predictable battlefields into, well, chaotic environments. The Allied response wasn't always immediate. It required new intelligence, faster reconnaissance, and honestly, a willingness to adapt doctrine mid-war. If you liked this dive into the weird and powerful corners of World War II warfare, subscribe to Strange History, and share the video with someone who loves the odd, the dangerous, and the brilliantly unexpected chapters of the past. There's always another strange story waiting in these forgotten files.